Hi everybody. I'm just going to do a little bit of vlogging right now. I had been thinking for a while about something I had done quite a number of years ago. There was a time in my life where I was more physically healthy than I am now, like on the spiritual side. There was a time, probably it was close to I don't know, 9, 10 years ago, where I had spent like a year doing yoga every single day, meditating every single day, sitting at my altar every single day, and I also had done a fast. I was following somebody on YouTube. I don't remember who. I don't even know if that channel exists anymore now that I think about it. But this particular person was talking about fasting, and I found it really interesting, so I did a lot of research at that time. And I had done a 3-day fast just to see what it was like to not consume any solid food for 3 days. And then a couple weeks later, I decided to try a 10-day fast. And in my mind, after I had completed that 10-day fast, I had told myself that I wanted to do that on a yearly basis. I wanted to do a 10-day fast once a year. And I know there are different times of the year that are considered good times to fast. There's lots of them, actually. And some people say you should do it around your birthday or around holidays. I mean, there's a lot of different practices and beliefs of different times that you should do different types of fasting. And I think the year after I had done my initial 10-day fast, I had tried to do another one, but it just didn't happen. I think I lasted 3 days and then I caved. However, I've been watching Jacqueline Dubois. I hope I said her last name right. Her YouTube channel is also known as The Real Witches of Orange County or the Mother Moon Monastery.net. And she does a lot of fasting. She does a lot of juice fasting. And I've been watching her journey, and it reminded me that that's something I wanted to try to do on a yearly basis. But it's been 10 years. At this point, after that failed 10-day fast that I had done a year after my first one, it's been closer to them, I think 7 years maybe. So I was like, I'm gonna try to get back on board with this, simply because listening to her talk about fasting, and it was very interesting because in I think more than one video she mentioned about the relationship of food and society and people. And that was one thing I had really noticed when I was fasting, just the strangeness of the interaction of food and people. And it was very interesting time. I think I vlogged a couple of the days. I was hoping to vlog more during that fast, but I didn't. So here's for round 2. Maybe I can get through this. I don't know. But I decided, I'd been thinking about it. I was like, well, with the new year, I'm going to start. And this time around, I'm going to wean myself into the fast much slower than I had done before, in hopes of not putting my body into that, withdrawal and shock and, messing up my digestion and whatnot. So actually, it was before New Year's I kind of started. I'm into my, I guess maybe second week, though I kind of started before New Year's. But anyways, the first full week I just eliminated beef. I'm not vegetarian, I'm not vegan. I consume all manners of food. Nothing against people who do that. I'm just not at that point in my life. But I decided to start with beef first, because that's, from my general understanding and what I remember from my research before, I want to say that beef is one of the more difficult things to digest. So I decided to start with that. And I think I incorporated that for more of like a week and a half. So this week, instead of just eliminating all meat in one go, I'm going to try to eliminate one thing a week. So, and I come from a household of meat eaters, so I started with beef. This week is various pig meats like sausage, bacon, ham, pork. That's what I'm going to go with this week, is to eliminate the swine from my diet. Interesting. I find that already, even though like I'm not into the fast yet, I'm already finding myself like looking at things and going, okay, I'm going to have to give this up at some point. My thoughts were, 1 week do the beef, this week do the pork and the pig meat. The week after that, do like chicken and fish. So I really don't eat a lot of fish, so it'll probably just be like poultry. And then afterwards, I haven't quite figured out which one I want to give up first, because there's going to have to be a bread, but then there's going to be a junk food. And I don't know if like junk food / sugar should be in the same category as bread, or if that should be different. I don't know. I probably should give up the sugar first. The hardest one is caffeine. Since getting with my husband, I drink a lot of coffee. Actually, as much as I love my husband, I will be totally honest. Like, once I started living with him and we started living together, like, my diet went, like, what I was eating that was healthy or not healthy really went down the drain. And having children, you kind of get into this whole convenience food thing. I'm also kind of realizing how much processed food I consume. So I'm still trying to figure out the order of things, but I know right now this week is getting rid of the swine. I'm liking how the word swine is sounding right now, so I'm using that word. Interesting. Was it last night? Yeah, last night I had my first like intense craving for meat. Like I had a very long day. I had worked at one place. I worked 2 different places yesterday. So I pulled like a 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., went home, slept, and then went on my other job from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I actually didn't even eat that much at all yesterday, because I was tired. I didn't have time to pack stuff. Didn't really have access. And I remember I got home. I can't remember if it was after my 3rd shift job or the other one. And I was just like, I want beef. Like, I had this intense craving of like, I just want meat. I want something real. And I was like, oh, there it is. There's that first sign of the fasting. And I remember that. I remember that from the last time I did my fast, where you get that intense, like, and I was like, okay, so what is it my body actually wants right now? Does it want a certain texture? Does it want does it just want salt? Does it just need something that's heavy? Does it want protein? So like, I was trying to figure out what that intense craving was. And it was nice to be able to recognize it, because all week long I was like, this is no big deal. This isn't going to be a challenge. And then I had that moment. I was like, oh man. I remember when I had done my 10-day fast. I had originally wanted to do a water fast, because when I did my test run fast for 3 days, I had made it like a water and tea fast. So I was like, I'll have tea with some honey. And so when I went into doing my 10-day fast, I was going to do that again. And I went like 4 days in, and I got like horribly sick. Like, I remember like laying in bed just being like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna vomit. I just feel horrible. And because all I had was tea and water for like 3 days, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to break my fast. How do I do this? I can't eat something solid, because it's gonna screw up my whole digestion. Because that's the one thing I learned with fasts, is that you have to wean into them, and then you have to wean out of them, because your body, can't suddenly just switch over from eating nothing but liquid to then suddenly having a greasy hamburger. doesn't work that way. Bad things happen. And when I had done my 10-day fast, I'd had that really, really horrible moment. It was like the middle of the night. It was like 3 in the morning. I was like, ah. And I remember I went and I think I put carrot. I didn't have a juicer at the time. Yeah, I'm going to do a fast, but I don't have a juicer. I don't have any of that. I remember putting a carrot in the blender. Yeah, I'm like putting this carrot in the blender and blending it up and just like trying to have like a little bit of carrot just to like calm whatever it was that was making me feel so sick. And at that point I switched over to a juice fast. Now, when I did the juice fast those years ago, I'll be honest, I did not use fresh juice. I did not like make my own juice. I then bought a juicer, but I did not. Did I buy the juicer for that fast or not? I may have just bought store-bought juice, which, you know, some people, a lot of people, even myself, it's kind of like, is that really like the same? But I mean, it's still a liquid diet. You know, your body's still kind of cleansing itself. But I remember I got tomato juice, and just the thought of tomato juice was disgusting. But kids, my 4-year-old uses the word hate all the time, and it just it kills me because he doesn't know what it means, and I don't know how to get him to stop saying it. But anyways, I was talking about tomato juice. So I had started drinking tomato juice, and that seemed to really curb that desire for meat in me. So I think it had something to do with the sodium. I don't know if this time around, if I'm going to do the canned tomato juice, or if I'm going to just like try to do juices that I juice myself. I have a very little cheapy juicer that you get more pulp than you do juice. So we'll see. I guess I'll kind of just like wing it when I get there. I mean, right now I'm still in the beginning of my fasting preparation. So I'm really hoping that I can do this properly, whatever that means. Well, when I say properly, like my idea of what proper is, you know, slowly weaning myself down, you know, eliminating the meats, eliminating the breads, eliminating the sugars, going down to just like the vegetables and fruits. And then progressing those vegetables and fruits into juice. When I did my previous fast, like really the only juice I drank was the tomato juice, and then I'd have orange juice or pineapple juice. Though, yeah, I don't think I had my juicer at that time. So that was all I had for 10 days. And I think I still let myself have tea with a little bit of honey. But I think this time around I want to try juicing more stuff. Like I juiced a watermelon back this past summer. That was pretty neat. And I've been watching Jacqueline Dubois. I really hope I'm saying her last name right. Oh, I'm so painfully country. Yeah, I'm so painfully country. And my grammar and my pronunciation is atrocious. But she has some really interesting mixtures of juice combos that she does with vegetables and fruit. And, you know, maybe I'll try those. Because, I mean, when you're fasting and you eliminate everything from your diet, you know, something that you might normally find disgusting, like what I thought with the tomato juice, like on a normal, regular basis, yuck, no. But when I was fasting, it was like, oh, this is the best thing ever, because you weren't getting anything else. So, yeah. So far, my progression into my fasting has been simple and easy, though I did have a random meat craving last night, which was interesting, because I really was not expecting to have it so early on. Like, I was being like, wow, you know, for having not done a fast for so long, you know, just eliminating one thing at a time, I'm not even going to notice it. I was starting to think I wasn't going to notice the elimination of the different foods from my diet, but it definitely had that, like, meat craving. It's so, like, psychological. It's a strange thing. It's like, like your brain's just like, food, I want meat, like I said, I had to figure out what it was. Was it a protein craving? Was it a texture craving? Was it just a weight? You know, I wanted something solid. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that's my current update on my fasts that I'm attempting to do. I've got a long way to go. This is probably going to take all month or 2 months. We'll see. I wanted to say that I'm not doing the fasting to lose weight. I'm not. After having my kids, I did want to get down to under 200 pounds. Like, I don't care if I'm 199, as long as I'm under 200 pounds, I'm good. And I got down, I lost all the baby weight from all 3 kids. And so I'm back to being like, I'm cool with my weight, and it's gone up and down a little bit. But I'm not doing it for weight loss. I'm doing it to just try to get my body back into a healthy state. Because I had noticed that particularly over the during this last month or two, I was starting to get physical symptoms that I hadn't felt in my body for a really long time. Like, I remember when I was a teenager, I grew up eating, granted we would eat a lot of homemade food, but we'd also eat a lot of processed food, things like hamburger helper, chicken patties, all of that stuff. And I would wake up with swollen hands because of the sheer amount of sodium and everything. I would wake up and my stomach would feel really awful. My face would be puffy. And, whoa, dropping my phone. And so I had noticed that happening again. I had noticed that happening again to me within the last couple months. And I'm hoping that with me fasting, it'll bring more of a produce. Because my kids love produce, but we need to bring more produce back in the house again. So my family is eating more healthy. And my husband is eating more healthy. Because that does change, your mindset when you eat better and you don't feel like crap. Because eating crap makes you feel like crap. Now, everyone needs to eat, and any food is better than no food. This is not in any way to make people feel bad who cannot afford things who are organic, or people who eat meat or don't eat meat. It's not for that. This is just my own thing. You have to supply food for your family in whatever means you can. And everyone's living situation is different. It can be really hard to find food. Like, I live in a small town. Luckily, one of the grocery stores moved closer to town, so we do have access to organic stuff and a very large variety. But still, that grocery store is still probably a good mile and a half away from my house. Now, I have a car. I can drive there. But there are a lot of people who don't have vehicles. And where I live, we don't have public transportation. We have a couple private taxis. We have a rabbit transportation thing. But I don't know if it's like a bus. But it's not on the regular. We have another grocery store that's in town. But that's still, it's a little bit near the edge. And people might have to walk. That one's smaller. You do have a wide variety. But you don't have... the organic, you don't have a huge produce selection. We used to have a very small market, right smack dab in the middle of town. If that market was still there, it is a 2-minute walk from my house. And I really, really miss that old grocery store that had been there for years. It was bought out, and now is lodge for the Knights of Columbus or something, because it went bankrupt, or I don't know the details. But it's not a grocery store anymore, which is really sad. Granted, we have a Dollar General that has some groceries, but even then, you can't buy produce from a Dollar General. So everyone, depending on where you live, they talk about, I've in the past couple years, I've heard of the terms food deserts. I wouldn't say my town is a food desert, but it definitely can be difficult to get to the grocery stores if you don't have a vehicle, and yeah, that can make things difficult. And I recently just read an article with the government being shut down that's going to affect food stamps. I'm on food stamps. If it wasn't for food stamps, I wouldn't be able to eat. My kids wouldn't be able to eat. I'll give you a little candid moment right now. I don't even have January's rent paid yet. I don't even have all of it. I have half of it. So I understand economic difficulties. You know, I understand it. And you go, well, you're doing a YouTube video, you have a phone. My father-in-law pays for my phone. Yeah, so I get that food can be difficult. Eating healthy can be really difficult depending on where you live, depending on your economic circumstances. I also saw I read the same article that was talking about the decline in food stamps income because of the shutdown also is going to affect WIC, which is women, infant, and children. And that, you know, those WIC checks, that gets people by. Like, I know I had WIC with my first son, and it was a lifesaver. It was just a huge lifesaver, even though it was like, you know, you get a ton of baby food, but then you're getting just like milk and like tuna and cheese, peanut butter, some like vegetables. I mean, it's really basic, you know. So it's an interesting relationship people have with food and the dependency that our society has made on the society for us. Like, we've reached a point in our existence where, like, a lot of people don't grow their own food. It's becoming more popular, and it's starting to get a rise where people are working more to grow their own produce and whatnot during the summer. But it's a dependency. It's a dependency. We as a human species depend on the grocery stores. Yeah, that totally went off on left field. And now it's making me think of the Pennsylvania farm show video I watched earlier. I live in PA, and every winter around January we have the Pennsylvania farm show. And in Harrisburg, they take the big ag center, and I think that's what it is. Or it's just the complex, the Pennsylvania Farm Complex. I've only gone like 3 times in my life, so I would love to do that more often. It's really cool. But it's, you know, all the people that are farmers, and they get together and they compete and they share their animals and show off their animals and their skills and their farm equipment, and it's really fantastic. And you walk a lot, and it's just a really good thing. But they made a video about, you know, what is your role in agriculture right now? What's your role in agriculture? You know, how does that affect you? Whatever, I'm rambling now. I'm going on 23 minutes. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Wrapping it up. Okay, so yeah. Eliminating pork. Eliminating pig meat this week. Last week was eliminating beef. This week eliminating pig. I don't know if I'm going to do a weekly video. Maybe I'll just sporadically put them up as I feel like it. I don't know. Yeah, that's all. I love you guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble. That's what I do best.